Hello, subscribers. Hello, others. I am making this video interview that you're about to see for women. And clearly, I'm not a woman. I have women in my audience. And even though I'm not a woman, I've heard women talk about things my whole life as an adult that were upsetting to them. So I talked to this person you're about to hear from. And I asked her, could you put down on a piece of paper some of the things women are concerned about that we could talk about? And she put down a list that was, all I can say, sad, sad. So we're about to talk to Jenny Roth. And Jenny Roth herself is entering middle age, I guess you could say that. She's heavily trained with a heavy background in this kind of stuff. And I hope this is beneficial, even though a woman is not the interviewer. So, Jenny, I read your list and I'm saddened by so many women who feel negatively about themselves as they're aging. What are your thoughts about that?
I felt sad when you said you felt sad because it's so normalized for us as women to have these issues that every woman I talk to experiences it on some level. I think because we live in a culture that worships youth, that to grow old with your body and your desires for sexuality can start to get tricky because there's a way, particularly as women, that the older we get, the less sort of valuable we are seen as in the larger society. I don't think by our husbands, I don't necessarily think by our partners and our family, but when you're talking about the messaging that we get about what it is to be a woman, to be bold and sexy and brazen and confident, the images we typically see are of younger women. What is it to grow older with like fantastic confidence, care for your body, taking up space, speaking your mind, and just being kind of sexy all around? Confidence is about believing in yourself and about caring for yourself. It's about centering yourself on some level. And as women, we get so revered for being selfless. It feels selfish to really go after what you want, to say, I need this time for myself. I need a massage. I need to exercise. I need to go get new sexy clothes. I mean, whatever it is that really like turns you on, so to speak. It's that juxtaposition of we're told to be selfless, and yet in order to be confident and sexy, you have to be kind of self-centered. And I think that for women, as they get older, they find that they spent 20 years not taking care of themselves, not centering themselves, that they don't know what they like anymore, that they don't know what their body needs or how to move, and they feel really overwhelmed and lost right at a time when the world is starting to tell them that they don't have value. It's like, it's a real double-edged sword.
Yeah, but these women come to you in your practice. And what do you do? I mean, you get some physical things that make them feel different about themselves. How's that work?
Here's what I love about exercise. Exercise is the side door to your mind. When people show up to me, they show up for the exact same reasons that I started exercising, which is I want my body to look better so that I am more valuable. Often women come to me and that's what they're saying. I want to lose weight. I want to gain muscle. It's all about how they look to someone else. The majority of the people that come to me are looking for a way to have their outside body be approved by other people's gaze. And what happens in exercise and why I'm in love with it is that when you start to get stronger, when you start to have a relationship with your body about what your body likes, what it benefits from, when you start to learn how resilient you can be, that you can do more than you thought, that you're stronger than you thought, all of a sudden you invest in your own gaze, in how you see your body, in how you see yourself. And that's a fantastic transformation that occurs. And I don't think it can be talked through. I think it's something that exercise is sneaky, that you start working out and you start feeling better, and then you start caring about what you want, and you start having a relationship with your body, which is not, my body is my enemy. It's, if my body was different, I would be better. But it's in fact like, this body of mine is my ride or die. It is the only thing I'm taking through this entire life. And so I'm going to care for it and keep it as well as I would care for and keep anything I loved. And when you start to see it that way, when you start to see your body as something that is a real gift for you, that is carrying through your life, that is the reason that you get to dance or hug your kids or love your husband, then how you feel about it changes. I mean, that is confidence and autonomy and self-love, and those skills translate across your whole world.
It seems to me as a guy sad that women are so self-critical. The way you look so affects for real the way you deal, at least with men. Does that bother you? Does that outrage you? How do you feel about that women have to deal with this?
Women who don't feel good about themselves are going to buy more products. So there's a whole world out there that is selling us products because our lips aren't big enough, our butts aren't big enough, our tits aren't big enough, our waists are too big, our thighs are too big, our hair is too thin, our hair is too thick, they're too skinny, they're too tall, they're too short, they're too fat, they're too dark, they're too light. I mean, there is no end to what is wrong with us. And what that means is that you have a buffet of things you could pull and decide, oh, that's me. So I have something wrong with me. What can I purchase to fix it? It's really about trusting yourselves and rebuilding a relationship to your own body and your own desire that is really transformative. What I focus on with my daughters and with every woman I come across is unlearning the ways that we have been taught to dismiss ourselves. We spend a lot of time talking about ownership of ourselves again and unlearning the ways that we were taught to not acknowledge how our body feels, believe that if our body feels one way that we should do the opposite because we can't trust it, and really, really creating a new, deeper relationship with ourselves and our inner strength. And what happens then is you have a real game changer. You have women who are solid in themselves, who, even if a negative thought comes in, they can reframe it. They can say like, oh, I see you, but you don't belong to me. And I'm going to give you back to the place it came from because I know who I am. And that's what I spend really as much time as I spend doing push-ups or anything else. That's what I do with women.
If my wife said to me, you're a few pounds fat and I don't find you that appealing, it would really hurt. And I wouldn't know what to do. Now, men that I know, if a woman, their woman, gets 2 inches, 1 inch fatter, it's a big damn deal because their sexuality is tied up in the female's appeal. That's really rough on women, it seems to me. Nobody's ever told me I don't look right, but I know lots of men who've told their wives they don't look right.
Here's the rub. Yes, men have visual needs and attraction in sexuality. That's absolutely true. Often I find that what really turns a man on is things like confidence, accessibility to their wife, a partner, wife or husband who wants to be engaged, who is excited to be engaged in sexuality. And if you're not finding those things with your wife, it's not because she weighs 2 pounds more or 10 pounds more. It's likely because you're not engaging her in a way that makes her feel excited, confident, or even pleasured in that system. So I would always push back and say, like, before we talk about how it's the fault of a body that is what creates the disconnect in sexuality, I would say sexuality is about two people meeting together in an intimate setting, and that your bodies change over time, and they can. And that if you're not meeting in that intimate setting, it's more likely that the work that needs to be done is not about one person's body or the other, but it's about your communication. It's about your engagement with each other. It's about how are you showing up in a way that shows caring. It's about being clear about your desires and her desires, and how do you make them work? Do they work? Do you need to bring in something extra? And then just acknowledging that there is a way that men have been shown again and again. It's modeled in our schooling, it's modeled in our relationships, that you get to have access to our bodies, that you get to gaze upon them and make a judgment on them. And then it's our responsibility to like make it better for you. When in fact, our body is not your business. If you're worried about your wife gaining weight, you should ask her something like, are you okay? Do you need more time? Could I do something that would support you to get to do the things you need to do to care for yourself? I'm worried you're not caring for you. That would be a lovely way to respond, as opposed to like, I'm not turned on. We're not turned on a lot and we can still show up. So you may want to find a way to do that.
In your list, you added 2 issues: aging. Oh, geez, aging. I mean, nothing you can do about that, it seems, and weight. Um, and the whole aging thing, I don't know how you deal with that. People do age and everything droops and they don't look as good. Um, that must be harder on women than men, I assume.
So the issue with aging isn't that we age no matter what and there's nothing you can do about it. The issue with aging is that we're told as we age, we lose value. That's the issue with aging. And the amount of women I hear who tell me they feel like they're running out of time if they don't have a partner, because we live in a culture that it tells you that you reach a point where you're worthless. Even if you're funny, even if you're brilliant, even if you make lots of money and you have incredible things to talk about, if you're not physically attractive, you are considered worthless on some level. I have clients who've aged stunningly. They are vivacious and sexy. It has never once occurred to them that they are invisible, because they are not invisible. And they're no better or different than any other woman, other than they have taken ownership of what is it about them that is valuable and attractive and confident, and how are they going to show up in the world in that way. Those women essentially just didn't believe the hype. So I think the trick, though, that happens and what I see is that women start to feel hopeless. They start to feel like they spent the best years of their lives taking care of someone else, and now their bodies are crappy and they don't feel good and they're sad. And a lot of it has to do with that. When you spend your life taking care of someone else, you don't invest in yourself. So what are you interested in? What sets you on fire? What is a conversation that if I asked you a question, you would like go off and tell me every detail about it? Like, what makes you feel alive? And when women are invested in what makes them feel alive, when they trust themselves, when they trust their desires and their interests, I don't think aging is a problem, because they are in love with getting to know themselves better. And therefore they show up in a way that is reflective of that they're in love with themselves. The thing that's hard about aging is that it's true, you can't do anything. You can't go back. You can do a little something. You can get a nip and a tuck and a fluff and I'm for that. If that makes you feel better, ladies, get it done. But you can't undo time. And so I think there's a sense, and men experience this too, a sense of running out of time. A sense of, am I spending my life how I want to? This is why the midlife crisis is so important. Crisis is an opportunity. It's not crisis like it's the end and make bad choices. This is the time that you say, am I aligned with my deepest values and who I want to be? And if you're not, like, get on it, because you've got 20 to 40 to 60 years, depending on your genetics. So I think aging is tricky because we get told to, like, it's too late for you, bye. Is there a worse heartache than to look back and know you could have? So, those are my thoughts on aging.
I'm aging and I do like it, so I fit your qualities in that regard. I'm proud of that. But you wrote down on your list something that really intrigued me, that some of your clients, some of your women, come to you seeing exercise as punishment. Do it harder, do it tougher, make me hurt. That's certainly something we all see in society. Is that true? And how do you deal with that feeling of make it tougher, make it nastier, make it hurt?
If you have been told that you can't trust your body, that your body is going to be inherently lazy, or it's going to tell you it hurts when it doesn't really hurt, or it's, we get a lot of that messaging, right? Like, no pain, no gain. That's a great one. People love to say no pain, no gain. Totally inaccurate. As a matter of fact, if you create a lot of pain, you won't get gains that you want anyways, because your brain is so busy having a protective reaction that you won't have the mobility or the strength you need to really reach the heights you could have in exercise if you're always pushing yourself to these places of great pain. It's okay to want to challenge yourself. That's a wonderful thing. But what we've been taught is that we have to do it so hard that you're like dripping sweat and everything hurts. And that's just not true. That we're building your muscles, but muscles build slowly. They don't have to be broken into 1,000 pieces to build. They need consistency, and consistency comes from care. Consistency comes from being able to show up again and again with some support and some care, not just tearing yourselves down all the time. Women believe that we should be punished for what we eat. So there's good food and there's bad food. And bad food has crept itself into all kinds of things. Now fruits are bad. Now bread is bad. Now anything you look at is bad, which is another way of saying anything you desire is bad, right? Don't trust your desires. Your desires will lead you astray. I mean, we can follow that all the way to Adam and Eve. It wasn't true then, it's not true today, but here we are still getting that same messaging. What women desire is bad for them, and they should look to other people to help them be better. So a lot of times women come and they want to work off the calories. They feel guilty for enjoying food.
This is going to show my age, but back in the 1970s, when I went to Esalen, this woman, Ida Rolf, was there. And she had developed this whole theory, which she had proven, that the body carries these memories, that the body carries actual information about things that have happened to you, etc. And you're a coach working with women and using their body. Do you believe that as you look at these clients, as you call them, you can see sort of things that don't have anything to do with exercise or physical at all, but happen to them in their lives? Terrible things in some cases, traumas, etc.
Do I physically see it? No, they don't come in like Quasimodo. Nobody has like a mole or a scar or something that I'm like, oh, I know what happened. But I am always aware when women come to me and when men come to me, but particularly when women come to me, that the likelihood that they have endured some trauma in their life is very high. And so what does that look like? In my world, what that often looks like is a real disconnect, an inability to feel their body. So maybe they're doing a squat and I'm asking them to move their hips a certain way and they're saying, okay, and they really feel like they've done it and it hasn't moved at all. There's just complete disconnect because it's not safe for them to be connected to their hips, or it's not safe for them to be connected to their chest, or it's not safe for them to be connected to some portion of their body, which is really trauma related. It's about disassociating so that we can be safe in our bodies. And then if you've never done any work around it, right, you haven't gone to therapy, you haven't done any sort of work to undo traumas that have occurred, like they do live there and you may not be able to safely connect to them. I talk very openly about my life. There was lots of trauma, there was lots of chaos, and I did a lot of work to heal it. So when I talk about it, we're talking about a scar, not an open wound. And because of that, it gives other people permission to have those same conversations with me. I am a safe place for that. I am trauma informed about it. And I recognize that our bodies, I mean, they hold all of us. They hold our thoughts, they hold our spirit. There's scientific proof now that our cells change based on what happens to us. When somebody comes to me, I always imagine that they have like a giant invisible sack that comes with them. And in that sack is everything they've ever said about themselves.
It's a pretty shocking, common fact that 1 in 3 women has been sexually abused in the United States. That to me is horrific. And when I asked you to give me some of the specifics you deal with, you said sexually assaulted, divorce, infidelity, and addiction. I went, oh my God. First of all, I don't know how that connects to the body, what the body has to do with these horrific life experiences that I've seen divorce destroy women unfairly. Addiction is men and women, and infidelity, I've seen that destroy lots of relationships, almost all of them, the ones I've seen, male, but I know females do it too. You deal with these kinds of things.
I never believe that your body is just your body. Your body, when you bring that into me, you come with everything. You come with a whole knapsack full of everything that's ever happened to you, how you felt about yourself, your greatest achievements, your darkest failures. I mean, it's all with you. So I'm just always really aware that like, you're not just dealing with a body. You're dealing with a human, you're dealing with a spirit and a history and all of it. That I'm not just going to see a woman come in, I'm going to see a woman who gave up on herself, who gained a lot of weight, maybe in protection, maybe because she was lonely, maybe she was avoiding things, whose husband cheated on her and left. All of that comes with her when she comes in to do exercise with me. It's not one thing or the other. Girls who come in who have eating disorders, which is often caused by sexual assault, or often we'll just say caused by sex, for lack of a better term. So if they come in, I mean, I have to be aware of, is the exercise I'm doing with you helpful, or am I investing in an area that is already about self-harm for you? Because I need to know that so that I can have an honest conversation and so that I sleep at night.
There's 2 kinds of men in the world, 2 kinds of men. One kind knows you guys are smarter more powerful, certainly more three-dimensional, more interesting than we are. The other kind thinks either they know, they're the man, they lead, we have the wisdom, we take the steps, and you just sit back and watch it. Or even worse, they're afraid of you. That's a lot of
Mm.
men. They're afraid of everything you're saying and everything you're expressing. And as a man who talks to other men, I don't know what to do about that. In fact, we know that if you guys all die and there's just us on the planet, we'll kill ourselves on each other. We don't survive without you. You, on the other hand, 100 years from now, when you can produce a baby without us, I don't know that we're going to have a place in your society.
So men who are afraid of women are dangerous men, and they are scary. I will tell you that. But they're not scary because, I mean, they're not afraid of women because of anything other than they've been told that if a woman is smarter than them, brighter than them, taller than them, stronger than them, that they are somehow less than.
We're not equal. There are things we don't know as males. And I once met this South African guy, black guy, and he was in a tribe. And he said to me, as part of our conversation, he said, you're not going to stay with a woman because she cooks your meals, raises your children, looks really pretty, puts flowers on the table. None of that will hold you. There's only one thing that's going to hold you to that woman: if she can pull you off your train, because you're a male, you're on a train, you're going here. That's me. You're going there. My experience with my woman is she pulls me off the train every other second, and I've been with her for 25 years. It's a totally different experience, and to be honest, way better, whether I'm eating a hamburger or looking at the sunset or doing my work. But that's more what it's like. But that was a nice effort for, are you in your 40s yet?
Yes.
Good. Then that was a nice effort for a 40 something thoughtful woman. But until they make that flip from
Mhm.
really being afraid or thinking they know more to, oh
Right.
my Lord.
I have a lot of male clients. For the men who started off as better than or afraid of, right? Not the men who see women as above or equal, but the men who struggle with it, that I get put into a special category. Like I'm not in the men category or the women category. I get a third file.
Very true. The third category. My mother was in the third category to me, that's for sure. She was neither male nor female. That's right, the third category.
Yeah.
That's funny. I remember when Heidi said to me one time, which I did not know, David, one of the sexiest things about you? I said, no, I'd sure like to know how you treat your children and the children around you. I did not know that to some women, that's very sexy. To be a good father is sexy.
Yeah.
Sexy? Well, that sure provoked me to be a better father because the results are worth it.
I used to tell my husband, save the flowers, wash the dishes, and you'll be delighted tonight.
That's good.
I can buy my own flowers. I don't need.
That's, that's damn good, Jenny. Thank you for all of that. Let's call this videotape recording number one, because I made this for my subscribers and for other women, and I hope it's helpful. And I'd like people to write back comments with questions that you and I can talk about, um, that would help people, because you're helping people. You're really helping people.
I would love to do part two with you. It would be an absolute honor. This has been such a fun interview, and I hope that it was helpful to your subscribers. And I am absolutely open to answering any questions and getting any feedback. Thank you so much.